Let's see, how many do we have, you think? 25 pounds?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, close. That's one, and the other, it's more like 21.
You're good. You're good. Y'all did really good.
20.
Yes.
If you are a beginning canner, there are some simple recipes that you can easily start with without any issue, without needing any kind of special equipment, and canning your first batch of strawberry jam couldn't be any easier. I'm going to walk you through the steps on what you need, what you should do, and what you should have on hand in order to make your first homemade batch of strawberry jam. Strawberry jam is probably one of the easiest recipes to do. When you're first starting to can and you've never really done it before, strawberry jam or blueberry jam, both are super easy to make. And the reason for this is they naturally have a lot of pectin, unless of course you're de-seeding everything, because the seeds have the pectin in there, which will help the jam gel so that it's not runny. And so both blueberries and strawberries have that. So if you are a beginning canner and you've never done it, strawberries and blueberries are super easy to make and you really can't go wrong. If you want to try out a mix of berries, that's a great mix to mix up for jam as well. But let me show you where's a good example. Right here, you see this, all of these seeds right there, natural pectin, and that will help gel your jam. Another reason why I would suggest to start with strawberry jam or jam in general is it's a high acidic food item, which means all you need to do is water bath can it. You do not need to bring out a pressure canner for that. It's super easy and you don't need any specialty equipment really if you can't afford it. All you need is a big stock pot, water, and your canning jars. Everything else you can improvise. Of course, there's a lot of equipment that is helpful when you're canning, but if you've got nothing else on hand, a big stock pot with water. If you don't have a rack for your pot, you can use canning lids on the bottom of it, and really all it does is it makes sure that glass doesn't sit straight on the pot, which could make it bust. So that's really all you want to do. You want to create some distance between your pot and the glass jars when you're canning. So if you have some rings that you already have for your canning jars anyway, you can just lay those out on the bottom of your pot, put your glasses on top of it, and can that way. Water bath canning is super simple and you really can't go wrong with it. Just basically bring your water to a boil once you have your jars in there, water bath can for 10 minutes, and you're good to go with your jam. When I make strawberry jam, I usually make enough to last for a year for us easily. Plus, there's probably enough typically to give away for gifts, maybe even sell some overage at farmers markets and stuff like that. But I usually have plenty of strawberry jam to go around for both our family and as gifts. And then, of course, come blueberry season, I'm gonna make some blueberry jam, I'm gonna make raspberry jam, I'm gonna make roselle jam. So we've got jam coming out of our ears. No issue at all, plenty to go around. But when I do this, I just follow the simple recipe of 12 cups of fruit plus your sugar, bring it to a boil, add your pectin and your citric, and then put it in your jars and can it. So super simple, super straightforward, easy beginner recipe to follow, and I'll put the recipe down below as well for you to follow. What I do is I double up my recipe because 8 jars of jam is not going to get me that far in the year, so I usually double up the recipe to make double the amount. Obviously use double the ingredients at that point and you are good to go. So we are disinfecting and warming up the jars ahead of filling them. We want to make sure there's no bacteria in there before we fill them up. So we're going to put them in a water bath, heat them up, and then they're ready to be filled. When you're canning, your canning lids are technically only guaranteed to hold seal for one use. Up to 12, 18 months, sometimes 24 months is what the manufacturers guarantee. So you really only want to use them once to be safe. Personally, I do reuse my lids. Don't tell anybody about it. I do reuse them, not necessarily for canning, but I use them for dry goods, keeping things in the fridge, putting things in the freezer. They're fine. However, manufacturers typically do not guarantee that lids will reseal when you reuse them. So the recommendation is to only use lids once. That's why you always got to buy them and rebuy them. Our friends at Denali Canning have sent us a couple of lids to use while we're canning here because we're doing a lot of it. We met them last year at our event. They are great people and they're trying to do this as a manufacturer here in the US, making things in the US and providing this to the canning community. They have great products. Look them up. I'll leave a link down below for them. And that's what we're using here in our kitchen is Denali canning lids and the rings. And I'm excited to show you what we're doing next for our strawberry jam. Before I fill my jars, I want to make sure that we disinfect both the jars as well as the lids so that there's no bacteria on it. In addition, it warms them up ahead of time, so before we fill the jars, they're already ready to then go into the water bath canner, and it's not going to take as long to heat up the jars with the hot jam and the hot glasses already in there. Once you've got your sugar measured out, you want to take a 1/4 cup, in my case 2/4 cups, and mix that with your short gel to get ready for your jam. With strawberries, we do not need to add water because they have plenty of water and juice themselves. So as we're heating it up and boiling it down, it's going to become liquid. Depending on how chunky you like your jam, I like it pretty chunky. I usually don't use a blender or an immersion blender to make it smaller, so I just leave it as is and can it like that. But you can definitely use an immersion blender to make it as smooth as you'd like. As you're boiling it down, you'll have some foam forming. Now what you can do to reduce it is add a little bit of butter to it that will reduce the foam, or you can just take it off the top. And that way everything looks nice and smooth. We're going to bring this to a rolling boil, and once we are at that point, we're going to add the rest of the sugar to it. bring it to a boil again, and then we are ready to can it. Before you put your rings on, go ahead and make sure you wipe down the rims with some white vinegar. Make sure you remove any excess jam you might have spilled while you're filling your jars. And the vinegar does you the favor to kill any bacteria. So you're good to go before you close it up. If you're interested about learning more about canning, preserving, foraging, cooking, baking, or homesteading in general, make sure you check out our other videos and the rest of the channel. There's plenty of videos to go around to watch and learn from. We try to share once a week, so be sure to check us out and check in for new recipes and new tips and tricks that we share here with you. And we will see you in the next video.